I'm Lisa Curcio, and I would love to welcome you here to Lisa's Stamp Studio. Let's use some of that beautiful designer series paper, and let me teach you how to make a floating screen card. This card is sure to dazzle anyone who receives it, and best of all, it is not difficult. I'm going to offer you two different variations for the closure today. I'm going to demonstrate one, and I have several other samples to share with you. Make sure you grab that free project sheet. That's going to be linked down in the video description for you below. It's going to lead you over to the pictures, the cutting dimensions, and all the supplies for all the cards I'm going to share this evening. Now, if you're here with us for the YouTube premiere, welcome. We would love to interact with you. Make sure you go ahead and you log into your YouTube account, which uses your Gmail address. You're going to be able to comment along with us. Gina and I are here in the live chat with you to answer your questions right now. And if you're not sure who Gina is, she is my daughter. You'll see her name here in blue, Gina Hawley. She's also an avid stamper, and we're more than happy to answer any questions you might have. Now, in addition to the Stampin' Up! Products I'm going to be using, I'll be using some other beloved tools that I have here in my studio. Since those are not Stampin' Up! Products, I have those linked for you specially on my website under Shop Craft Room Favorites. And you may hear me refer to them momentarily during today's video. Before we get started, I want to give a huge shout out to our YouTube channel members. You'll recognize them with the badge that's in front of their name. It's a crown. That delineates that they're supporting Lisa's Stamp Studio for just 99 cents a month. So what do they get? They get that custom badge. They're also going to get custom emojis to use in the comments and in the live chat. And they also have the opportunity to purchase exclusive merchandise that we have designed. If you are interested in wanting to know more about it, click the join button right underneath today's video. We would love to have you be part of it. We're going to begin with the cutting and scoring. There are going to be two pieces of cardstock that comprise this card. This is called the base in your project sheet. It measures 4 1/4 by 11. There's a ledge here at the top of my trimmer, and there's also one here at the bottom, which is going to make it nice and straight. And I love that my trimmer includes both the scoring and the cutting blade, and they navigate up and down out of the way so you can keep them on the clear track at the same time. Starting at the 2-inch mark, we are going to line this up, and then we are going to score. We're going to move over to 4 inches and score, and then 4 1/2 inches and score. And then we're going to open up the extendable arm, and we are now going to come over to 6 1/2 inches, and we are going to score, and then 7 inches, and then 9 inches. I know it's going to be really tough to see here on camera because of the color of the cardstock, but when we go through the next step, I think it'll be a little bit easier for you. There's also a template for you inside the project sheet. We are now going to line up the left side here at the 4-inch mark. And we are going to cut down on this score line. There's a little 1/2-inch section here from the very top of the trimmer down to the 1-inch mark, because we want to make a 1-inch slit. Now, if you feel more comfortable marking it with a pencil and doing this with a pair of scissors, by all means. You're going to need one here at the bottom as well. And there's two ways you can do this. You can just navigate this here to the bottom, because this is 4 1/4. And I'm just going to cut all the way up to 3 1/4. Or you can go ahead and then just turn the paper and do half at a time. Now we're going to slide over to the 7-inch mark, and we're going to do the exact same thing. I'm going to navigate the blade at the top, come down 1 inch. I'm going to lift it to move my blade down, and I'm going to go up to 3 1/4. If you don't feel comfortable doing that, again, do the top and then rotate it, and then just do the 1-inch mark again. Super easy. Now all we're going to do is we're going to cut away these areas that are right here. Again, if you feel more comfortable making a pencil line in your scissors, you can. To do it with your paper trimmer, you're going to line it up at the 1-inch mark. And there's 1-inch mark on this side as well as this side, and I like it because I can hold more paper this way. So I'm going to line it up on the 1-inch mark here. I'm going to line up my blade at the 4-inch mark, and I'm going to cut down to the 7-inch mark. That's going to take away this piece. Now all we're going to do is we're going to rotate it, and we're going to do the exact same thing now on this side. I'm lining it up on the 1-inch mark, going up to the 4-inch here on the blade, cutting down to the 7-inch. Now if you're like me and you've got a little tiny piece here, don't pull it. We all want to do that. Go ahead and take your scissors, and then you can just simply just cut away the excess. This is what you're going to have left for the base. Now we're going to need a second piece, which is called the card inside your project sheet. This measures 2 3/4 by 7 inches, and all we're going to do is we're going to score it in half at 3 1/2 inches. Working with the card first, we're going to fold that in half. Make sure your ends are nice and even, and go over it with your bone folder to reinforce it. We're going to come here to the card base. There's a score line here, which is going to go in what we call a valley fold. And we're going to go over it with the bone folder. We're going to do the exact same thing now on this side. So fold it in, go over it with the bone folder. The next score line is here. All you're going to do is you're going to fold it in for another valley fold on either side. So I'm going to crease that up, and I'm going to reinforce it with the bone folder. Whenever you're making a fun fold, or better known as a fancy fold card, use the bone folder to reinforce those score lines. The last score line is here. That's that little 1/2 inch section, and you're going to go up, which is a mountain fold on those. So we're just going to go ahead and crease those, and again, we're just going to go over them with the bone folder. Believe it or not, that is it. The rest is all going to showcase your amazing designer series paper. The area here is going to float the image on your card. What I did next is I decided to decorate the base of my card. When this is all finished, this will eventually close, will be the front of the card. You're going to want to go ahead and choose your designer series paper. I've chosen the lovely Garden Designer Series paper. I have all the cutting dimensions for you inside the project sheet. Like all the Stampin' Up! Designer Series papers, they are double-sided to give you lots of options. And I did decide to create a layer for this paper. I'm going to go ahead and flip that over, and I'm going to use my precision glue press to go ahead and add my glue to the back side. I love using liquid glue, especially with fun fold cards, because it gives you a little bit of shimmy room. I'm going to go ahead and attach those together. Now you're going to need a total of 6 designer series paper panels. So 2 here and then 4 more here. Just to save a little time in the video, I went ahead and I did all of those ahead of time. And you're going to notice that I have some that are different. And this is the beauty of your designer series paper, is you can mix and match to create your card. And it's a great project for your scraps. I'm going to place these 4 to the side for right now. And let's go ahead and let's add these to the front of the card. So I'm going to flip that over, and I'm going to add some more liquid glue. Now you're going to be able to find the precision glue press linked for you on my website under Shop Craft Room Favorites. I absolutely love it because it's super easy to press the trigger to get the glue out, and you can see how thin the glue comes out, which makes it really easy to use, which means you don't have to worry about glue oozing all over the place, especially on your work surface. And then we'll put the other one here. One of the questions I get asked a lot about the precision glue press is, does it clog? And the answer is no. It's specifically designed to use the Nouveau glue that comes with it, and I do love it. But it's a water-based glue, so you'll see that once it comes in contact with the little pink plunger, that it creates an airtight seal, which means it's not going to clog. You don't even have to cap it between uses if you choose not to. It does create a little skin at the top if it's been sitting, so just go ahead and pull that off to make sure that the glue flows freely. And if you're going to store it, you can go ahead and use that beautiful needle decorative cap to do so, and I love there's a place to hold it. The stand profile is very, very small, which means it's going to stay on my work surface nice and easy. We're going to go ahead now and we're going to add these other panels as well. If your designer series paper has a direction, make sure that you are cognizant of that when you attach these panels. I'm going to place this one on the inside left, so it'll be opposite of the one on the front. And I'll take this one and we're going to add that to the inside right. These 2 are in fresh freesia, and I'm going to put those towards the center. That's going to help break up the floating image that we're going to place on this card. And that is going to go here. And then one last one will go here on the inside left. You're going to notice that there's a little bit of a bridge area here in the front. This is going to allow the image to float. There's several ways to close this, and I've got several other samples to share with you and lots of other ideas. Now, whether you decide to decorate this first or last is entirely up to you. Let's go ahead and let's do it first just for the sake of the video. I've got another piece of designer series paper from that same packet. I did cut a piece of white cardstock to go behind it just to keep the continuity of the rest of the card. Again, that project sheet for you is free, and it's down in the video description below, and it's going to include all these cutting dimensions for you. So there we go, we've got that. Ahead of time, I went ahead and I stamped and just pre-prepared this piece for the inside. And we're going to do some decorating on the outside, and we'll talk about the stamp set in just a second. And I love that this is just ample room just to sign your name, put a little short message, and that can go here. Now that the card is finished, aside from the decorating, what we're going to do now is we're going to attach it to this area. Again, you're only going to place adhesive on this area here, which is what I'm calling kind of the bridge or the suspension to float the image. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to use the liquid glue. So I'm going to work within the perimeter of that area here. I'm going to put a little bit in the middle because I know it's going to float. I want to make sure it's well braced. I'm going to make sure this is nice and flat. This now is going to get centered. So you're going to see me looking here and here for about equal space, and here and here. And again, this is why I love liquid glue, so I can shimmy it. And then once I'm happy with it, I'm going to press that in place. Now the glue dries very, very quickly, so you're going to be able to see how this is going to pivot. Again, I'm going to talk to you about several different ways to close the card, and it does fit in a standard A2 envelope. I'm going to be using the Thankful Garden Bundle, which is the stamps and the coordinating dies. And the dies are very abundant. And at first glance, you might be looking at these smaller pieces thinking, well, how the heck do I use these with the stamp set? And I want to share that with you. Let's start with this large flower image first. I've got my Misty stamp positioning tool here, and I've got a piece of scrap cardstock. I'm going to go ahead and anchor that inside the corner, and I'm going to tack it down with the magnet that comes with it. It's very, very strong. The reason I love this is you're going to see that the stamp is sizable, which means if I don't get a good clean image, I can restamp it without having to worry about positioning. Once you have the stamp face down on the cardstock, making sure it's in the corner, you're going to go ahead and close the hinge, and that's going to pick up the stamp. Now, photopolymer is very sticky, and it's very common, especially if your stamp is new, for it to lift the paper. So make sure you reposition it in the corner. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to come in with my black Memento ink, and I'm going to ink up the top portion of this image. I'm not going to be using the entire flower for this card because you can see that that bridge area that's going to suspend is very, very small. And this is where those other dies come into play. Let's go ahead and let's close this. Now, if you're like me, you don't press well, I love to introduce you to that little pressing tool. Got that linked for you on my website as well. And I'm going to go over that and just press out the image. Now this came out really good, but if it hadn't, I can go over it again and then stamp it once again and get perfect placement every single time. As I had mentioned to you, there are some small piece dies that actually cut out a part of the larger flowers. And at first I was really confused on where those areas were, so I want to talk you through that. Using this flower here, my recommendation to you would be to go ahead and die cut the area it fits first, so that you're not coloring more than you need. Now, if you're like me and you are always wrestling with your die moving, the Post-it labeling and cover-up tape is fantastic. Now, these are not Stampin' Up! Products, but I love them and they aid me with my paper crafting. I just pulled off a piece of that tape. I'm going to line up that die and I am going to tack it down. Now I'm assured it's not going to move, and we can run it through the die cutting machine. We've got our die cut image here, but I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to save that tape because you can use it at least a half a dozen times before it starts to dismantle. It's a great cost-saving tip for you as well. I brought in some scrap paper so you can see this a little bit better. We are going to color a little bit of the background as well as the flowers. Now for this, I just chose the colors that were in the designer series paper, and that's the beauty of Stampin' Up's color coordination. There's no guesswork. I'm using the light boho blue Stampin' Blends alcohol-based marker, and I'm just going to color in an area around the flowers. This will make more sense in just a moment. I'm then switching over to the Misty Moonlight Stampin' Blends markers. Now, if you're like me and you're pulling out your blue alcohol-based markers with Stampin' Up! And you're looking at the caps going, which one's the Native Navy? Which one is the Misty Moonlight? I got you covered. Jean and I designed these little labels to go on the ends of your alcohol blends, which are a lifesaver so that you can easily identify them. You're going to be able to find a digital download for this on my website under Shop Digital Downloads. Whether you use the light or the dark first is completely up to you. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to use the dark first. And I'm going to add just a little bit of color inside of here and inside of here. And you can see those little lines there are just kind of like little cheat marks for you. Now I'm not going to color the whole thing, but I am just going to give you an idea on how these work. It's important that you let the first layer of color that you lay down evaporate because it has an alcohol base. Then you're going to come in with the light if you did the dark first, and you're going to go over that. So you're literally going to pull the dark into the light, and you're going to see how I'm doing that here. You're going to do that on the entire flower. Now, when it's all done, it's going to look like this. Now, there are a couple pieces inside the stamp set I want to call your attention to. There's these little tiny pieces here that can be used to stamp in the center of the flowers. You can use those in your black memento ink. You can leave them as they are, or you can use a black marker. And some of mine, I use the black Stampin' Blends markers, or of course you could use the stamp. Now, just like that large flower, the smaller flower here has a die that will die cut just this smaller flower here. And just to save a little bit of time in the video, I did do that ahead of time. So I've got one in the Melon Mambo here, and I have another in the Fresh Freesia. So these colors are going to coordinate with my designer series paper. I also stamped and colored in 3 sets of leaves. And here's one reason I absolutely love the design of the dies. They give you 3 separate leaf dies inside the die set. Isn't that fabulous? You could do them all at one time. I also stamped the greeting with love from that stamp set, and I just used my scissors and fussy cut right around it. The tip here is just leave a little bit of white all around your stamped image. We're going to come here now to the card. Now, if you have this and it bugs you, I want to give you a silly tip that works really, really well. Grab one of your clear blocks to hold it down. I know I'm going to add these words, so I'm going to create a collage with my flowers first. So I'm going to take one and I'm going to place it here. I'm going to take the blue ones, and then finally I'll take the Fresh Freesia ones and I'm going to lay those over the top. Coming in with my leaves, I'm going to place one here. I'm going to place another one here. And the last one I'm going to place down here. Now you're probably thinking, that's fantastic. It's exactly where you want it. Now what? I know, but this is another wonderful tip for you. I want you to go to the kitchen. I want you to grab the press and seal. I have a small piece here that I use over and over again. You want to make sure that the sticky side, the one that sticks together, is face down. Now there is a little static here, so you're going to want to work quickly. So you're going to place it right down on top of the flowers, and you are going to press. So all the cardstock pieces now are sticking to the press and seal. I'm going to turn this over and I'm going to peel the cardstock away from the press and seal. So there's my entire collage all ready to go. I don't have to worry about it being dismantled and not having the exact same formation I just created. I'm going to come in now with my dimensionals, and I am going to use these to anchor the pieces together. Once I have all the dimensionals arranged on the back side, I can then give this a press and very carefully lift this off the front. Don't throw the press and seal away. You can use it numerous times. Now I have one entire collage to work with. We're going to come back here to the card base, and we are going to remove these paper backings. With my collage all put together of my flowers, I'm going to go ahead and work near the top. I'm not worried about my image extending past the top since we have extra space there to fit in the envelope. I'm going to take my greeting and I'm going to flip that over, and I'm going to add some dimensionals to this as well. With the paper backing removed, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to place this down here in the lower left corner. My last step before I show you how this comes together is to add embellishments. And I'm using the pecan pie and clear ribboned embellishments. I don't think they're going to pick up on camera, but they've got a little bit of ribbon in the background and they're absolutely beautiful. I'm going to take one of the larger ones. I'm going to place that down here. And then I'm going to work with some smaller ones. I like to work on an angle because I find that it's more creative for the eye and more appealing. So I'm just going to scatter them in a triangle formation, give them a good push. So here is the card. The first thing you're going to ask me, is it freestanding? And of course the answer is yes, it sure is. But how do you make it fit in the envelope? Okay, so watch. For this one particularly, remember these are going to come forward. So that's going to go here. And then this one's going to tuck to the back. So now this is going to fit inside a regular standard envelope. Here is how your image floats. It'll stand like this, or of course they can display it like this, but here's the best part. The card itself and the images are all popped forward, so it can be stored in the envelope and then revealed like this. But wait until you see these other variations. For this next one, I'm using the Arched Wishes stamp set, brand new online exclusive that just came out, and I love it because you always need something for birthday, and this is not gender specific. And it's paired with the Everyday Arches. While the dies are sold separately, you can see that those greetings fit very nicely inside those dies. And here is the card I created for that. For this one, I created a belly band because I wanted a larger piece of graphic or art here on the front. So this was colored with Stampin' Blends markers. I added some Wink of Stella and some gems. The belly band is going to slide right off, but do you notice the difference? My floating image now is to the back versus this one that was to the front. So there's 2 ways you can fold this card, but guess what? It's still going to float because when it opens, you're going to see how it pops out where I put my balloons there. And then of course I left room on the inside to just put a small message. So you can leave it forward, or you can tuck it in and leave it like this, or add a belly band for presentation. But I have one more for you, and I have a really cool technique on this one I'm going to teach you as well. This last one uses the ice cream swirl, the stamps and the dies. Now they are no longer a bundle, but you can buy them separately. But I love the versatility of this, and let me show you what I did. This card also has a belly band, and while the color palette is very, very simple, this is just another way to create a focal point on the front that's not necessarily an image. So this, of course, is going to slide off. But the technique I want to show you is on those donuts that float on the inside of this card. I'm hoping it's going to pick up on camera. Do you see how they're glazed? Okay, let me show you how I did that. I stamped and I colored all the donuts that I wanted. I pulled off a piece of packing tape large enough to cover them. This is why I'm using the silicone craft sheet, so that tape will not stick to my work surface. Once I have it adhered, I'm going to use my sticky scissors to cut away the excess. I keep a pair of scissors in my studio with ribbon on them, so I know they're for those sticky jobs. Now, since this is a small area, if you choose, you can just fold this to the back side. The secret to this looking so real is the simple fact that the die also cuts out the center. So this technique is fantastic for any of those detailed dies and images that you want to look glossy or wet or glazed. So think birthday cakes, waves, but make sure that it's detailed enough that when you die cut it, it's going to leave the hole or the detail in the center so that the entire image actually looks glazed. So whether you want to float the image to the front, float it to the inside, and add a belly band, there's lots of different ways to create this beautiful floating image card, and it shows off your designer series paper perfectly. As always, I would love to know your favorite card. Do me a favor and pop down right now in the comments and let me know. Which way will you make your card? Will you use the belly band or no belly band? And if you love fun fold ideas, I want to give you one more resource. Stamp Studio Memberships is just that. It's a membership for exclusive ideas for cards that I create that come directly to your inbox every single Monday morning at 9 a.m. Eastern Time. There are 2 levels. Level 1 is $5 for the whole month, and it's going to provide you with step-by-step instructions, pictures, cutting dimensions, and supplies for a project you've never seen. But if you like a little bit more, perhaps level 2 is for you. It's going to include everything in level 1, but also give you a monthly fun fold card. And everybody in level 2 also gets a discount code to use in my PDF tutorial library. And everyone in level 2 is entered into a product prize giveaway every single month. You can find all the information on my website in the red menu bar under memberships. Finally, you're going to want to make sure you check out my online store because there's brand new online exclusive products that you're not going to want to miss. I think this is one of my favorite releases. Make sure you shop my online store for all the amazing rewards that I offer here at Lisa's Stamp Studio. While you're over on my website, make sure you scroll to the bottom and you click and fill out that newsletter form. We would love to keep you in the know for maybe perhaps when free shipping is coming or other promotions. We would love to keep you inspired. It is a no-frills email, comes to your inbox every Thursday. If you have enjoyed today's video, would you do me a favor and click the thumbs up button here on YouTube? It's a like and it helps me immensely. And if you haven't already subscribed to my channel, I would love to invite you to do so. By clicking the subscribe button and the word all, YouTube will send you reminders when I provide new content, so you're sure not to miss anything. Thank you so much for joining me today, and I look forward to seeing you next time. Have a great day.